Welcome to the Breakup Recovery Podcasts by your host, Barbara Stevens. Discover the wisdom and remarkable insights of Barbara Stevens, breakup recovery mentor, author, and public speaker. Barbara offers programs and solutions for any breakup so you can turn your life around, create lasting changes for the better, and embrace life again.
Hello and welcome to Breakup Recovery Podcast. I'm Barbara Stevens and I'm a breakup recovery mentor. In today's episode, I have with me Amy Botwinick. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So Amy, tell me about your breakup, your divorce.
I think what made my breakup so hard was it was a 3-year legal battle. So it was like the breakup that could never happen because I was waking up to it every day for 3 years. But what really saved me through that time was writing and kind of getting this stuff down on paper and journaling it and being able to express myself, somewhere that I could go back and look at some of my trauma a few days later and realize that, kind of ridiculous. Some of this is really not that bad. And you could find the humor in it. So that's kind of how I got through my breakup is taking some of the crazy stuff that happens that's so painful and so at that moment, the only thing that matters, like how are you ever going to live through this? And then giving it some air and going back to it 3 days later and realizing, you know what? It's not so bad. I'm going to live. And some of this is so ridiculous that I can actually laugh at how I acted or how the other person acted or the situation. And I started to find humor. And that's how I got through my breakup.
So how long did it take to write your book?
That's interesting because that just happened fast. That was just the reason I wrote the book was because when I was going through my breakup, my divorce, dealing with the emotional, the legal, and the financial challenges, I went to the bookstore and I didn't find like a girlfriend's guide kind of thing. And I felt like, wow, after going through this legal process and learning a lot the hard way, I learned a lot. And when I wrote a lot of the book, it just kind of spilled right out of me and it wasn't long. I think maybe the book writing it, all these stories and these interviews happened over about a 6-month period. And I think, within that time, the book was written within 6 months.
So what is the book called?
Well, I wanted to kind of spin divorce on its head because it is a very challenging transition for so many people in the world. 50%, 60% people experience this. So I felt like, you know what? Why not? Congratulations on your divorce, the road to finding your happily ever after. It's a bit provocative and not everybody's ready for that title, depending on where they are in their breakup, but it definitely makes you think and twist it around in a way that frames it a little bit different.
And so what can people expect when they read this book?
Well, it's a combination of interviews that I did with women from the ages of 30 to 60, how they made it through and what they learned on the other side of it. And in between those stories is really solid advice on how to manage the financial event of breaking up, to be able to get your finances in order, to become a credible client for your attorney or your financial advisor so you don't waste time and money. So there's a lot of good information there on how to get through the legal and financial challenges, but it's also, weaved with great stories that'll make you think, that'll make you laugh, that'll make you blush. So it's heavy, but it's kind of a good balance of real life advice that will get you through the process.
Amy, I also believe that you're a co-author and you produced a hilarious show. So what is that called?
That is called Divorce Party, the Musical, The Hilarious Journey to Hell and Back. And after I got done with the hard stuff of the divorce and coaching men and women through it, it's heavy duty stuff. And I felt like I've been doing this for years. What else can I do for people? And I thought laughter, because laughter is really the best medicine. And if I could be able to talk about the moving on piece, your legal divorce is over. How do you get your emotional divorce? How do you begin again? It seems so daunting. And, I had an idea to take stories of my life, my friend's life, my client's life, and really talk about some of the challenges that they face and what you need to do to move on. And I like mixing a lot of this stuff with a little bit of naughty humor. So that always helps because that kind of breaks down some taboos that you need to talk about as you're moving on and entering the dating world. Just a lot of really weird things that you have to be brave to begin again. And why not just like put it right on the table and talk about it and have some laughter?
So, Amy, what would you consider the biggest challenge to moving on after your breakup?
There's two things that come to mind. And the first one is going to be loneliness, the absolute desolation, the feeling that people have when they've lost that other half and that other half of life. You have all this time and space and you're all by yourself suddenly. And the strange thing is that married couples or other couples, sometimes they don't know what to do with you, or they feel that the breakup is contagious and they can't be around you, or that you might flirt with their partner and they can't trust you. So all of a sudden, the friends that you thought were your friends don't know what to do with you. So they just kind of stop calling. The other piece is if you have kids and you have a visitation schedule, when the kids leave, your house is so empty and quiet. It's awful at first. So I think being able to integrate back into finding a life is really the challenge, and the loneliness is very difficult. The other piece is being able to adjust financially, going from, a mom and pop shop or, a business of two partners together getting through life to having to untangle those financial pieces and now function completely on your own and adapt to a new lifestyle and a new way of life. That's pretty challenging too. So I would say the loneliness and the finances, those two things.
Getting back to Divorce Party, the musical, tell me where people can see this show.
We're currently on hiatus and we're looking to pick up, and it will likely be possibly, we've been in Vegas, we may go back to Vegas, or possibly the Southeast. So the website is going to be updating to what's next.
So where can people find out more about the musical?
At divorcepartythemusical.com.
Amy, can you tell me what services you offer?
I help people through the divorce process. I'm a certified divorce coach. I mostly work with women at womenmovingon.com. And my job is to really help get them organized for the process. And I kind of call it like divorce management because there are so many different aspects to uncoupling and getting to the right professionals and building a divorce team that's specific to my clients' needs and helping them realize that you can't get through a breakup by yourself. And, the message that I do is you can't do it alone. You shouldn't do it alone. And building your support team of not just the professionals, but the true blue friends, the family members that are not going to suck the life out of you, finding out who is really going to move you forward versus who's going to pull you back. And, it's okay to let go of those people, especially through a breakup, because you only need positive reinforcement to be able to help you move forward. So to get through a breakup is, my answer is let's build a team of experts and professionals and solid friends and family that will help you transition in the most positive way. And to be patient and kind to yourself, because it often feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And I remember going through my own divorce. I almost felt like a crazy person because 1 minute I would feel happy, 1 minute I would feel sad. And I just had these emotions all over the place. And then I realized that it's really the normal process of healing and moving forward. And when I was finally able to get rid of the anger and the denial, and I moved into sadness and like embracing it gently was really the pivotal point of me moving forward and healing, because it is sad. It's the death of your dream or the death of the relationship. And once you identify that you've gotten through all of the other feelings and you're in sadness, I think at that point you're close to moving forward. And every emotion that comes into your space is normal, and you can't usher it away, but you can't hold it too tight. So I think validating it, recognizing it, sitting with it for a period of time, but not, staying at the pity party too long. That's where you need to get help, just to keep slowly, gently moving forward. And it takes time.
So Amy, what is your business called?
I have 2 businesses. One is, they're both virtual and they're online. One is womenmovingon.com for the ladies, And for the gentleman, it's divorcecoachsupport.com. And I provide coaching sessions by phone or by Skype to help people manage the financial, legal, and emotional challenges of breaking up and divorce and helping them move forward smart so they can do it in a smart way that minimizes the financial and the emotional, just what can happen.
So you say in a smart way. What are some unsmart ways people go about their breakups, separations and divorces?
I'd say it's scorched earth. I think people that are so filled with anger that they want to make the other person pay, that they wind up spinning and making things very miserable and difficult and just costing themselves and the other person emotionally and financially, just devastating them through legal battles or emotional battles, especially if there are children involved. And that's a big piece for me, because whether you're married or not married, if you've had a child with your partner, they didn't ask for any of this. They're the victims, the true victims in this piece. And it's really up to the partners to cowboy up, suck it up, and act like adults so that you don't damage these beautiful children that came from this union that you guys created. So that's a big, that's one thing you never, ever want to do, is bring a child into your chaos and your drama. And realizing, is it really worth it? What are you fighting over? What's going to help you move forward? What's the most important thing to you to move forward? And how can you take some of that anger and work it out somewhere else, with a therapist or a life coach or exercise or listening to music, rather than going after somebody for what reason? Just so that, you feel better for a second, but the devastation that you leave behind is just going to shape the next chapter of your life, and not in a good way.
Amy, I've never heard of that term, cowboy up.
Well, yeah, cowboy or cowgirl up. It's, I think the hardest part of a breakup is you're feeling so frazzled and freaked out and French fried, quite honestly. You're just like at your absolute worst and vulnerable and scared. And it's at that very moment that you have to cowboy up or cowgirl up and just be smart about how you move forward and think about, what you do, what you say, and how you go and connect to the people and what your actions are going to be, because it's hard. It requires everything. And I remember somebody gave me a beautiful quote that hit me at the beginning of my process, and it really helped. It was by Eleanor Roosevelt. And it was something like, people are like tea bags. You don't know how strong they are until you put them in hot water. And I thought, oh, that is perfect. It's exactly what it feels like. And the reality is that I think most people, when they go through something so difficult, like a breakup and a challenging divorce, that you often can rise and surprise yourself about how strong you are, or how you are more resourceful and can get through it. It really does build character. And I think a lot of people become better than they ever thought they were because they were forced to. It's like when somebody puts you against the wall, you have to do that. You have to cowboy up. You have to make it work in a different way. And everybody's watching you too during a breakup to see if you're going to have grace in doing it or just go for chaos. And chaos is never going to serve you. So that's what the whole cowboy up, cowgirl up is.
Thank you, Amy, for being on Breakup Recovery Podcast. You've given us a lot to think about, and I've learned a new saying, so thank you for that. And if people want to contact you, the best way to do that would be?
They can contact me by email at amy@womenmovingon.com and amy@divorcecoachsupport.com for the gentleman.
Thank you once again, Amy.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
If you feel that you are still struggling with your breakup, if you are experiencing intense feelings of anger, resentment and bitterness, and it is taking over your life, I'm here to help you in this area of moving on and coping after your breakup. I work with my clients one-on-one through my mentoring program. If you want to learn more about how we can work together, contact me via email or my Facebook page, Barbara Stevens Breakup Recovery Mentor, and book in for my free 30-minute sounding board session and we can set up a time that suits. In this free session, you will walk away with clarity about your situation, strategies and tools to start building the future you deserve. So together, we can start your journey of recovery. All my information is on my website, www.barbarastevens.com.au. If you don't want to miss an episode of Breakup Recovery Podcast, subscribe on iTunes, and I would appreciate it if you could take the time to write a review and rate the podcast. Also, feel free to message me with any questions that you have about Breakup Recovery podcasts or subjects that you want me to cover in future podcast episodes by clicking on the contact button of my website or my Facebook page. I'm always looking for ways to help you recover from your breakup. And the last thing I'd like to say is, be gentle on yourself. You deserve happiness.
If you would like to hear previous Breakup Recovery podcasts, visit barbarastevens.com.au. Connect with Barbara Stevens on social media with Barbara Stevens Breakup Recovery Mentor on Facebook and at You'll Be Okay on Twitter. Read further blogs, view webinar replays, and download your free ebook, 3 Easy Steps to Surviving Your Breakup, and much more at barbarastevens.com.au.